Action. We're going?
You're going.
Okay. Okay, so tonight's training, and we're going to be talking about... Tonight's training is going to be on blood and lymph, the lymphatic system. I'm in a goofy mood tonight. So we're going to talk about lymph. It's a crucially important system, and I really wanted to start with lymph because the Lord's really been highlighting it lately to us. And we've been learning some things about ourselves and people we're working with, and just lymph is something that's often taken for granted because a lot of people don't know about it, and the modern medical system doesn't really talk much about lymph. It's all about blood, and we agree it is all about blood. I love quoting Leviticus 17, 11 through 14, talks all about the life of all flesh is in the blood sustains its life. But one thing we've come to realize about the lymphatic system is the lymph is really probably the main tool the body uses to keep the blood pure, clean, and healthy. Because the lymph is basically, for lack of a better way to describe it, it's like the waste disposal system of the body. So I've talked before about the cardiovascular system, how you can read different things. The lowest number I've seen is 60,000 miles long. There's twice as much lymph as the body as there is cardiovascular vessels. So the lymph is a very complex system of removing toxins and cellular waste from the body. It's also a crucial component of the immune system. If you ever heard the term lymphocytes, okay, that's part of our immune system that springs into action to fight infection. And if you have clogged lymph, you can't detox, you can't cleanse. You'll gain weight and you won't be able to lose it. We've heard of cancers developing in the lymphatic system, like lymphoma. The immune system can't function properly if the lymph is congested. My wife gave the example of, thought of it, we were talking about it the other day, and she said it's like if there's a traffic jam and there's an accident, but the traffic's so bad that the fire trucks can't even get through to take care of the accident. And that's what's going on with when your lymph is congested. There's all kinds of immune crises and different things maybe going on, but the body can't get what it needs to where it needs to get to because the lymph is congested. So the lymph is crucially important. I have a little cheat sheet here on just some different things we can do to help move the lymph and keep the lymph healthy. A couple of conditions just to mention. I mentioned lymphoma. You've heard of lymphedema. Breast cancer would be a huge one. I mean, there's such a epidemic of, it's just really sad how much breast cancer is going on, how many women are being diagnosed, how many women are being treated with radiation and chemotherapy, women are losing their breasts, and it really shouldn't, it shouldn't be. It just shouldn't be. I mean, if we understand what breast tissue is, it's lymph. It's the lymph system. And so the lymph is throughout your entire body. And if you've ever had like swollen glands right here, that's your lymph working. You've heard of people getting their tonsils removed or their adenoids removed. That's because your lymph's working. It's trying to do its job. It's not like the organ has a problem. It's that the organ's trying to do its job. So cutting it out doesn't solve anything. It just pushes the sickness deeper inside the body. But the main lymphatic areas where there's the most lymph is actually around the intestinal tract. It's called GALT, G-A-L-T. It's an acronym for something I can't remember exactly, but something lymphatic tissue. And that's where there's a ton of lymph. So when you eat food, fats, sugars, different things literally go right into that lymph to be partially to be distributed through the body, different nutrients, and also for the as part of the waste product, because everything you eat has a metabolic waste to it, and that all has to be processed by the lymph as well. And then the second area where there's the most lymph is if you travel from around the intestinal tract area up through the left side of the chest is where the thoracic duct is. And so that's your main duct where the lymph travels. And then lymph travels through the body in a circular motion one way. And it only moves through motion. There's no blood supply attached to the lymph. The other areas of lymph are under the armpits. It takes muscular contraction to move the lymph. It takes, movement and muscular contraction because like everything else in the body is transported through blood. But they're separate systems. They work together, but they're separate. So on here under the armpits is major lymph area. So people get soreness under here. A lot of women who have breast cancer have a super sore area under here, and it's because the lymph's been damaged, it's been congested. The other major area is the growing area, and then actually behind the knees. So when people start getting swelling, you think kidneys a lot of times with swelling, but it's also lymph, congested lymph. So swollen fingers, swollen ankles, swollen feet. I've always focused on the kidneys with that, but now I've just had some new revelation that that is also, or could also be lymph in addition to the kidneys. And so, yes, honey, you want to say something?
The example about the faucet in the drain.
Yes, thank you. So I heard a guy describe it one time that the blood is like a faucet, and your drainage system is like the lymph. And so usually when there's a problem occurs, it occurs where? It occurs in your pipes. You get a clogged pipe, you have clogged drains. That's your lymph. You don't usually replace your faucet that often. It's usually the drain that's the problem that's getting clogged. So it's the same with our body. If our blood's been compromised to the point where we have lupus or some autoimmune condition or a major blood-related disease, the lymph is already compromised. Because the job of the lymph is to protect the blood, to keep the blood pure, to keep the cellular waste out of the bloodstream. That's the job of the lymph. And so if you get a blood-related illness, you know, that there's congestion throughout the whole body, and the lymph is most likely already compromised. So some of the things you can do for the lymph, and we only have a few products related to the lymph, but because it's so important, I just kind of wanted to highlight some of the things you can do for the lymph. One of the most important things for the lymph is movement. So we have kind of a sedentary culture. We don't exercise or work out anymore. We struggle to find 30 minutes to work out. And it doesn't have to be complicated to move the lymph, and I'll tell you the best exercise you can do to move the lymph, and I'll just do it for you because it's really easy. Just jumping, or jumping jacks. Any kind of jumping moves lymph. So you've heard of like the rebounders, the mini trampolines. Seriously, probably the best workout. If somebody didn't have a lot of time, wasn't super mobile, super athletic, maybe they're just starting to work out again, just start jumping. Just start jumping. Jumping jacks, rebounding. I have a lady I'm working with who doesn't have a mini trampoline, but she's got a big trampoline out in her backyard that her kids play with, and she never goes out there and jumps. Now she's out there jumping every day, and she loves it. So movement moves the lymph. That's critical to understand. So it's through movement of the body. So jogging, you know, would be another way to move the lymph. And breathing. So breathing in, they say breathe in through your nose deeply where you fill up your entire lungs, because that moves all that lymph, the thoracic duct, all that area in your chest. And you know, everybody, for the most part, we're shallow breathers. We always breathe really fast. And so being intentional about breathing in through your nose very deeply is going to move lymph through your body. So that's the most important thing probably for the lymph is movement, exercise, breathing. A second really critical thing is food. So overeating, eating processed foods, eating heavy foods, fried foods, fatty foods, white flour, white sugar, all that stuff congests the lymph because there's a lot of cellular waste to it. There's not a lot of cellular waste to greens and fruits and vegetables and beans and legumes and almonds, and there's a waste product to everything, but there's not a lot of waste compared to eating deep fat fried French fries and donuts and hamburgers, obviously, right? So that's just more burden, more stress on the lymphatic system. So diet's critically important. Some of the foods that are most important are greens. Lemon clears lymph. Apple cider vinegar is amazing for cleansing lymph. Beets is one of the best lymph cleansers. And so to get into just one product, I got a beet juice powder right here. Something they recommend doing is, just eating beets or this beet juice powder. Amazing for liver, gallbladder, lymph. It's one of the most healing foods for that system, for the blood, because it's high in iron. I mean, beets are probably one of the most powerful foods there is for this whole circulatory system, for the blood, for the lymph, the liver, the gallbladder. It's high in iron, so it helps build blood, it cleans lymph. I mean, so that's why they sell these beet juice powders, because they're really popular because they're so powerful. And so another good thing to do, kind of maybe the third thing, is heat. Sweating, saunas, exercise to the point where we're actually sweating. That's going to remove toxins and waste from the lymph. Hot water, drinking hot water. So this is an Ayurvedic thing. We've kind of been looking into the Ayurvedic system of medicine because there's a lot of wisdom in it. And one of the things that we actually found out in studying it a little bit is the first system, if you were to go to an Ayurvedic practitioner, the first thing they do is they decongest your lymph. That's the first step they do to healing. Because they know if they decongest your lymph, everything else can self-correct and it's easier to heal everything else. But think about it, if your main waste disposal system of your body is congested, you can take all the thyroid stuff you want or the liver stuff you want or whatever, but your system's backed up and congested and you can't get deeper into healing different parts of the body if that lymph's congested. Does that make sense? So I've really, again, it's just, I really feel like the Lord's highlighted the importance of the lymphatic system, so I'm really going to start focusing on it more. But what they recommend doing is they recommend doing hot water, sipping on hot water every 15 minutes throughout the entire day. And what that does is that relaxes the system. It opens everything up. Your body starts to receive water better and get hydrated better because it's more relaxed and open. It starts to relax the blood vessels, the lymph. Things are able to start, it kind of just opens the detoxification process. So think about heat relaxes, cold constricts. So we're in October, we're going into the fall season. It's great timing, the Lord's timing's awesome. I love that He's highlighting this right now because we're going into a season where, I've always promoted lots of greens and juices and smoothies and all that stuff's great. But where we live, if we were in Hawaii, we might do that year round. But where we live, it's good to eat with the seasons. And that's another thing that's really highly encouraged for lymph health is eating with the seasons. So what we should be doing now is shifting away from our green smoothies, as hard as that is. I love my green smoothies. But shifting away from that towards warm teas, hot baths, just staying warm in the house, soups, stews, broths, cooked vegetables, eating more warm foods because that's going to relax your body and that's going to help kind of open up cleansing for the body. Winter's already going to be cold. You throw green smoothies and ice cold water on top of that, there's no way, it's going to be very hard for your body to heal or to let go or to relax. So that's another tip is just to drink the hot water throughout the day every 15 minutes. Yes?
Would it be a good idea to maybe always add lemon? Because you said lemon would...
Yes. So one thing you can do with the hot water, now I read some interesting stuff that said you just can't beat just plain hot water. It's really hydrating. Just the warmth of the water, the relaxation really hydrates the body and hydrates the cells. And they said even to do that over like lemon water. Now what they recommend a lot of times is people do that for an entire day or even up to a couple of weeks just to open everything up and relax. What I think I'm going to start doing that I think you can do, and I actually started making a little drink at home, is we did hot water and just some lymphatic herbs. And we'll talk about some different herbs that are good for the lymphatic system. So you almost make like a lymphatic tea and then add to it the beet juice powder. Because what that's going to do is that's going to break up bile, it's going to break up fat and fatty deposits, it can break down gallstones, it's going to decongest the liver and the lymph. So you can add a little beet juice powder in there. And then we did a few drops of iodine. Because iodine, again, it's a cleanser, it's great for the immune system, it's going to help boost the lymph in the immune system, it's a great breast cancer preventative. And then there was one other thing we added in there, didn't we? Oh, the apple cider vinegar. Yeah. So Jen didn't care for the apple cider vinegar, and I liked it. But the apple cider vinegar, another very powerful lymph cleanser and lymph detoxifier. Apple cider vinegar, very powerful for that. The other thing you could add as a bonus, if you wanted to, would just be like a drop or a pinch of cayenne pepper. So anything you can do to increase heat and relax the body is going to open up this whole system. Yeah, it's kind of like the master cleanse. Lemon, cayenne pepper. Yeah. So let me see what I'm missing. It's interesting, a lot of stuff I've read about it says the most crucial factor, they said, that can damage your health and damage your lymph is stress. Now we hear that. We hear stress. Stress, I always say stress antagonizes everything. But do we understand why? Do we understand why stress is so dangerous? Well, if you look at it at a biochemical level, or whatever you want to call it, the way the body produces hormones, is that if you're stressed out, the body produces hormones to handle that stress response. And those hormones travel through the body in a certain way to make different things happen in the body, to relax your nervous system, to make different things work. And if those hormones are getting released and they can't get to where they need to get to properly and adequately, that's when all these negative emotional responses happen from stress. So your lymph is congested, you have a lot of stress, you're producing tons of cortisol and maybe adrenaline to help manage the stress response, and it's stuck. It can't get to where it needs to because your blood's congested, your lymph's congested, and you get panic attacks, and you have fear, and you have anxiousness, and you have all these negative symptoms when your body should be able to handle that in a normal stress response if your body wasn't congested and your glands and organs were working properly. So he talks about this one video I was watching on this guy just talked about stress, how it's just such a crucial component to stay relaxed. So I talked about the greens, alkalizing foods, so lots of greens versus the acidic foods. Beets, hydration, breathing exercises, sweating. I think we covered it. With women, not wearing restrictive clothing, especially around their breasts, like the underwire bras, cutting off the circulation, cutting off lymphatic flow. Big deal. Because again, that lymph gets congested. It's that example of the fish tank or the pond. The lymph gets congested. It's like the fish tank or the pond that starts to get overgrown with mold and yeast and bacteria. So if your lymph is clean, flowing, smoothly running, you're not going to get sick. You're not going to get infections. Your body's going to be able to quickly heal. It's going to be able to jump to action, if there's an invader, so that the immune system can ramp up. But if you're congested, that's when sickness sets in because stagnation occurs, and that's when things start to get unhealthy in the body. So I think the lymph is really one of the first steps for that.
There's a lot of research out there about women that have studied women who wear underwire bras versus just an elastic type of bra, and the comparison of breast lumps versus between two full populations, and it's undeniable. It's undeniable. It's not just a subtle difference between the populations. It's I don't know the numbers. I read it once. That gal that worked next to, she has all that research on her paper. It was very convincing for me to switch over.
So for the camera, because the camera can't hear this, she was just saying how convincing the evidence is for women who wear restrictive clothing and underwire bras versus those who don't, and rates of breast cancer. It's like an undeniable, huge difference. So you don't want to constrict the flow. That's crucially important. So thank you. So a couple of products. This is called Lymphatic Cleanse by Cedar Bear. This has red root. So red root's well known for a lymph cleanser. Echinacea. Echinacea is good for the immune system, so it's going to help ramp up the immune system in the lymph. Elderberry. All of your red, dark-colored berries are really good for the lymph. So elderberries, cranberries, pomegranate, cherries and choke cherries. What am I missing? All of your red, antioxidant-rich berries are really good for moving lymph. He's got blue vervain and myrrh in here. That's kind of this liquid Cedar Bear under the tongue, so I really like these kind of products. And understand, I just want to stress this with the lymph. The lymph there's twice as much of it as there is cardiovascular system. There's a lot of it. And if it's backed up and congested, you're not going to take this and everything's okay. But if you take this, you're jumping 20, 30 minutes a day. You're drinking hot liquids all day and opening up your lymph. You're eating a lymph-friendly diet that doesn't have heavy, fatty foods. And in fact, in Ayurvedic medicine, they'll recommend basically a no-fat diet so that you're not congesting your lymph further. And if you couple those things together, I mean, people who have been chronically sick for a long time will be brand new people in a month once you get that lymph uncongested. So it really is a combination of things. You're not going to just do one thing. People they just want to exercise, and they focus on exercise, or they just want to eat well, but they're not exercising, and they're not taking herbs, and they're not, it's a lifestyle. That's what we always talk about, right? It's a lifestyle of living well. So you want to couple all those things together. Yes?
Just mention that's why a lot of times people feel better with enemas is because it hydrates and moves the lymph that's around the large intestine.
Yeah, one of the reasons coffee enemas are so powerful is because it will actually pull all of that congestion and fat around of the gullet, that lymph around the intestinal tract. It'll pull all that out. And so if people are really heavily congested, that's one of the reasons the coffee enemas are so powerful. But we found really good results with the apple cider vinegar as well. It's really kind of pulling a lot of that stuff out. Or just hydration, she's saying. Yeah, just getting the water in the colon through. Now that's not going to happen with coffee. But with lemon or apple cider vinegar or even baking soda, it's very hydrated and alkalizing. Okay. So, this is a tea called Fluorescence Tea. I love this tea. I have it in the lymph section because it's really a whole body detox, but the herbs in it are, for the most part, are blood cleansing and lymph cleansing herbs. It's just a blend of 8 herbs. You drink it warm, just an ounce twice a day. We actually just made it at home this morning. And so you just drink an ounce twice a day with warm water, and it just, again, it's just going to assist in this process of cleansing, detoxifying the body. This is the original SEAC formula. If you don't know about SEAC tea, which SEAC tea should be here too, and it's not, it's in the cleansing section. But SEAC tea was the original formula that Renee Case got from Native Americans to heal breast cancer. It healed her, her mom, and hundreds of other people of breast cancer before she got shut down by the government. This is that original 4-herb formula plus 4 additional herbs. So it's an 8-herb formula. And so this is a great full body detox, again, mainly because it really helps decongest the blood and the lymph both. How are we doing? Is somebody timing the 30 minutes? Okay, great. So what else about the lymph? Because it's fun to talk about, and I know I missed something. Actually, I did that pretty quick. Any questions about the lymph? We got a few minutes before the camera shuts off.
Jen was just mentioning for cleansing the lymph to do apple cider vinegar in an enema.
Yes. Yes, so you can do apple cider vinegar in an enema. Yep, very good for cleansing lymph as well. Start with a small amount, maybe work your way up. Start with a teaspoon and a quart, and then maybe you can slowly increase. Teaspoon, then 2 teaspoons, then maybe a tablespoon, but just start with a teaspoon. It's pretty potent stuff.
What's this effect of this coffee?
I don't know. I don't know if I could say that. But for people who have issues with coffee because of its dehydrating effect, and it can cause kind of a diuretic, so it can possibly cause some water loss or some mineral loss. Apple cider vinegar could definitely be if you're pregnant or nursing, that could definitely be a better alternative choice.
Yeah.
The other thing that's real big that I didn't mention on lymph, because I've never really gotten into it, I've read a lot about it, and a lot of people do it and believe in it, but it's the dry skin brushing. You guys have heard that? So you get all the dead skin cells off the body, and yeah, we have some here, and that opens up all the pores of the skin, which is going to open up and allow the lymph to detox better. I was real into saunas for all the hot saunas. I just felt amazing after I did a hot sauna, and you sweat. That's one of the reasons, is you're getting all that junk out of your lymph. Think about if you sweat. Think about if you exercise and you sweat and your shirt's all stained like yellow and gross and whatever. That's poison coming out of your body. Like, that's your body getting junk that's in your lymph and your blood out through your skin, through sweat. So sweating's a good thing. Were you gonna ask a question? No. Okay. Well, let's
talk more about diet.
Oh, yes.
Related to lymph.
Diet related to lymph?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So the focus would be in the fall. It would be beets, root vegetables. So like soups and everything warm and cooked. That would be like the fall. So squash, pumpkin, beets, rutabagas, root vegetables. You can make soups and stews with that. Some meat, like lean meats. in general, if you want to be really, really lymph-friendly diet, if you know you got congested lymph, it would be basically no fat. Now, what I didn't talk about is what they're big on in Ayurvedic medicine is ghee, which is clarified butter. And they'll recommend, is that my time? They'll recommend just sipping on a little bit of ghee each day, like a couple teaspoons of ghee, and that somehow helps clear out the lymph, but they don't recommend any other fats. And then in the spring, you'd move to more greens, alkalizing foods, get into the juices and the smoothies, getting out in the heat and exercising in the sun. But the whole way, really going low fat, and of course sugar. Those are the two main things that'll block up your lymph, fat and sugar. So like, don't eat donuts, right? Okay, let's end it there. Okay, so something about the lymph I forgot to mention that's crucially important is there's major lymph ducts right here under the arms, and it's pretty common knowledge now. People know that pretty much any commercial deodorant you buy on the market has poison in it. Aluminum was a big deal specifically, but think about any chemical you put right here under your arms is going right into the lymphatic tissue, and for women, where's that going? Right to their breast. So that was a big deal for breast cancer for a while, the aluminum in the deodorants. Yeah, you might have taken the aluminum out of it, but I guarantee you those companies don't have clean ingredients. You're still putting chemicals right into your lymph. So what's the alternative? I'll tell you that hands down the best thing anybody can do, especially a woman can do, to actually help prevent or even heal cancer and heal the lymphatic tissue is start putting bentonite clay under your armpit. Because bentonite clay draws. It pulls toxins, it pulls poisons. So it's going to pull toxins out of your lymph. So not only is it not poisoning you, but it's healing you. So praise God. I mean, for a few bucks for a deodorant, you can actually be healing your lymph and your breast tissue. So I think a clay-based deodorant is probably the smartest thing you can do. The other thing you can do is just salts. So crystal salt stones. And you just wet them, and you just put that on there. And salt inhibits the growth of bacteria. It was always used throughout history as a natural preservative. And it doesn't block what the body's doing naturally, which it sweats. The body's supposed to sweat. The silliest thing you can do is put some chemical-filled deodorant on your skin that blocks up your pores so you don't sweat. I mean, talk about working against God's design. So you put the salts under there, and it keeps the bacteria from growing, so it helps with the body odor, but it allows the pores to still sweat, so it still allows your body to cleanse and heal and detox. So those would probably be the two best options. I just wanted to stress this again for women, and I'm going to do a couple cancer classes in the Healing by Design series. I think I'm going to do a whole class just on breast cancer because it's such a big deal. But, you always hear it said that women should just check their breasts for lumps. And, I know a lot of women have lumps in their breasts, and they might say, well, they're benign, you don't need to worry about it. And that's true. There can be calcification, there can be lymph twisted up, there can be cysts, there can be various reasons there's lumps in the breast. But understand it from this way, that if there's a lump in your breast, there's probably some sort of congestion somewhere in your system. So don't be like, oh, well, it's benign, I'm not going to worry about it. Okay, that's good that it's not cancer, but there's congestion in your body. Let's work on the lymph and do these things we're talking about, make that lump disappear so there's no fear over breast cancer. Because women should not be getting breast cancer. It's completely a result of environment and lifestyle, the way we're living. It's not genetic, it's none of that. It's the choices we're making and the things we're putting in and on our bodies. When it comes to beauty care products, remember anything you put in your skin goes right into your bloodstream and right into your lymph, and it has to be dealt with. So anything you put on your face or under your arms or on your body, sunscreen, all those chemicals go right into the body, and the body's going to do everything it can to spit it right back out, especially if it's a poison. So we really want to be cautious and be putting natural things in our body. And like I said, the clay and things like that can actually assist the healing and the cleansing of the body. So we'll end it with lymph there, and then we'll go into blood. So can you start it again?